Hello everyone, welcome to Perspective Talks with Irene. Today is a very beautiful day. It's one of those days that I really love so very much. But wait, it's not my birthday. No, it isn't. But it is Father's Day. Well, before I begin, I want to send a lot of love, respect to all the fathers out there. You are so very much loved. You're so very much appreciated. Thank you so very much for everything that you do for your families, for your children, for everything that you do for them. However big or small it is, we really appreciate you, and I hope those people around you appreciate you and they always show it to you. Well, as a person, if you really know me very well, not even if you don't know me very well, you know that if there was someone that I talk about a lot, it's my late father. Oh my God, I talk about that man all the time. I remember when my father passed on when I was in high school. Some friends who didn't know that my father had passed on used to ask, "But where is your father? We've never met him." I could say, "Unfortunately, he died." But they're like, "The way you're thinking about your father is like he's still alive." I'm like, because everything about him was amazing. So join me as I answer a few questions about my late father. Alright, thank you. Question 1. What is your father's name? Well, my father is always called George William Kasule. George William Kasule. If you check all my social media, I have the two names, Williams and Kasule, because I come from a culture whereby we have tradition that as girls we cannot use our father's name, so they couldn't know me that name. But on all my socials, I have Irena Williams, Rita Kasule. So that is my father. Okay, question 2. What are some of your fondest memories of your father? Oh my God. One of the best memories of my father was those moments that he could come to wake us up in the morning, and because we were young, he could tell us, "It's okay, enjoy your childhood, but remember there are going to be those moments where no one is going to wake you up." And that is one of the statements that I wake up to every morning. I'm an adult, so I do everything by myself. And one of the other memories was whenever he could get back from work, he could bring something for you or the family, and he always wanted to see the smiles on our faces. So it was really, really, really amazing. All right, next. What were your father's passions? Oh my God. As far as I can remember, my father really enjoyed being around his family, because he rarely hung out with friends. If he did it like once a month, but every day from work to home, from work to home. So he really loved enjoying being around us. And my father was passionate about education. Unfortunately, he was an illiterate, but guys, this man loved the thing called education so much, to the extent that we never lacked anything in school. I was never sent home for school fees, though I very much wanted, because every time you could see your friends going back home to collect school fees. But I don't remember going to school with half my school fees. So my father was very, very passionate about education. So very, very, very much. Okay. Can you share a story that reflects your father's character or values? Oh my God. I hope I will have enough strength to control my emotions to answer all these questions, guys. I hope so. To begin with, my father was a very, very punctual person. I've never seen someone punctual like my father. I don't remember seeing him late. All his life, I saw him with a watch. So when my friends always complain, "I don't know always having a watch," well, there is a foundation for that. Next, my father was so caring and loving to those around him, to those who knew him, but he was a no-nonsense guy. If you ever messed up, he'll put you in your line, and then after it's okay, the business is done, come here, let's talk. So there is really a lot, to the extent that I remember one day I used to provoke my brother so very, very much, the one that I follow. Shout out Paul. I used to fight that guy. If you think I'm provocative, if you think I'm problematic, no one has suffered than that, my brother. I love you, brother. I remember one day, that was around in 2003. I was doing some house chores and my brother too. So by then I was so provocative as a young girl. But I remember one day I was cleaning the veranda of my house. It was a Sunday morning, raining. I don't know what happened. I started provoking my brother so much, to the extent that my father said, "Girl, it's too much." Remember, he punished me, and that was the last time my father really hit me, and I was like, "Papa, did you do that?" So at the end of the day, he said, "Just because you're young, it doesn't give you the right to always provoke your brother." So that was the kind of person, however much he loved you, however much you were his favorite or whatever, for as long as you were so unjust, my father really loved justice. And that was the time I was like, girl, I should wake up and stop doing all that. How did your father influence and shape who you are today? My father influenced me in very many ways, because he valued family, he valued God. My father valued education so very much, to the extent that, like I said earlier, though he was an illiterate, my father was always surrounded by very and highly educated guys around here. I remember one of his best and closest friends is an engineer. I love you, Papa John. I love you so very much. So that really made me understand how great my father was, because it's not every day that an illiterate from just the middle class family or society is always hanging out with those very big guys, which is why my father influenced me to love English and to love education. Because whenever I could meet some of his friends who are educated, he could say, "Girl, you're not speaking our local language, which is Luganda. You have to talk to those guys in English." I remember there was this friend of his, he was in the military, and one day we went there. I had problems with my teeth, and this doctor, may he so also rest in peace, he could tell me, "Irene, me and you are going to speak English, and your father is going to listen." So whenever I could speak English, I could see the smile on my father's face, something that really made me happy and made me love the English. So for those who are asking, "Irene, why do you love English so much?" Yeah, that man did it. Yeah. And also I remember my father, I don't remember the day we went hungry. I don't remember a day. I'm so blessed we never rented. I only started to rent a house or an apartment after I grew up and I started working. We never rented, we never went hungry, we never lacked school fees. So it showed me how hardworking my father was. Yeah, it really showed me how really hardworking my father was. Oh, this question is really amazing. Okay, what was your father's favorite dish or food? As far as I can remember, my father loved our local or our staple food called matoke. It is called plantain, and he really loved it with fresh fish. Whenever my father wanted to eat fish, he could go straight to the lake. Okay, he could go straight there and really loved it. Or anything, maybe with beef or with chicken, but he really loved our local or staple food matoke. He never liked anything else apart from that. So that was my father's favorite food, and he never liked cold food. You dare serve him cold food, he could say, "What were you doing all day for you to serve me cold food?" So he really loved plantain or matoke. I'll put the picture up there for you to see how it looks like. Okay, here we go. Did your father have any unique talents or skills? Well, for as far as talent is concerned, I remember my father liked dancing. Yeah, he really liked dancing so very much. And one of the skills that I really appreciated and admired about my father is the fact that he had this gift of bringing people together. Even if you meet him for the very first time, you would love him, he would connect with you, he will make you feel like he has known you forever, he'll make you feel at home, he'll make you feel loved. So that's something that I really remember correctly, that he loved joining people. Because I remember we grew up in my house, we were very, very many people, very many relatives from my mother's side, from my father's side, very, very many people, over like 20 people in the family. So he really liked being around people, and he had that gift. He was a problem solver. Yes, he was a problem solver. And he was very good at communication. Oh my God, he could communicate so well with everyone. Yeah, so, okay. How did your father approach parenting and family life? Like I mentioned earlier, to my father, family was always a priority to him. In the background where we come from, many families really do struggle a lot. But in my case, my dad never showed me, I don't remember seeing him worried about us. Of course, as an adult, as a parent, there is no way he could show us, but he knew he had to handle it. And yeah, his parenting life was really amazing. He was loving, but very strict. You mess up, you get your punishment. Okay. The other part of the question is about family life. Well, I have step siblings, and then me and my mother. My father still welcomed everyone, whether you're a child, whether what. So family was something that he really treasured so very much. That's what I can say for the best. Okay. What was your father's favorite book, movie, or music? Well, my father never watched movies. I never saw him watch movies. But he had these favorite TV programs that he used to watch in my local language. He liked listening to the news. He liked buying newspapers to be updated. Of course, he liked the local music. If you can say, it's called Kadongo Kamo, but it's country music in English. So he really loved country music. Yeah, he really loved country music a lot. For the books, he read a lot of, I used to see him with a lot of books from our local writers. So yeah, but I never saw him watching movies. Okay, let's see. What were some of the lessons your father taught you? Wow, this is a question that I reflect on a daily basis. But the biggest lessons that I learned from my father are: one, time management. My father taught me that if you're doing something, if you want to do something, give yourself time to do it. Give yourself time to do it. Okay? If you have an appointment at 10 and probably it's very far, give yourself time. You have to calculate the traffic, your preparation time, and all of that. So when it comes to time management, I really learned that from him. Management. 2, appreciation. Most of the days, my father could come back with something in his hands. Not all the days, but most of the times, he could come back with something in his hands. And most of the days, of course, you could say, thank you, Dad, thank you, Papa. So for the days you could forget, he could call you, hey, little mama, didn't you like what I bought or what I brought? I could say, oh, I'm sorry, Dad, I forgot. So you could see what it meant for him, for us, or for me particularly, to appreciate. So it really taught me to appreciate, which is why to everyone who knows me, no matter how big or small what you do for me, thank you is always here. Very close. Thank you for this, thank you for that. Because no matter how small something is, or no matter what someone is doing for you, you have to appreciate. It is really, really very important. Another thing is, my father taught me to care selflessly. We are living in a world whereby whatever we do, we expect a payback at some point. But when it comes to caring, you have to do it selflessly. And I learned that from my father. I could see him go an extra mile for people he loves. Even after his death, most of his friends had got that from him, that they supported us up to now. It's been 14 years since he died, because he died on 9th of December 2009. But up to now, most of his friends are still coming to our help. So it was really something very, very important to really care. Next, my father taught me to value family. That no matter what, you gotta stay united. Which is why even if me and my siblings fight, whenever I get misunderstandings with my mom, we gotta find a way of coming back. And whenever we are doing fine, we're like, guys, Papa is proud of us. Dad is proud of us. So he really taught us to value family. Also, my dad taught me to value friendship. Because as the saying goes, nowadays most people are more helped by friends than they're helped by their family members, which is true. In our case, we've gone places because of what friends do for us and probably what we do for them. So my father taught me to value friendship. So if you're my friend and you don't want to maintain, I'm not the kind of person who wants a friendship that is short-lived. If I keep you close, it means I want to keep you in my circle. So my father taught me to value friendship. Lastly, of course, I cannot exhaust everything. My father taught me to value education. Yeah, my father loved education so much. I remember how very active he was involved in our education. Thankfully, I was a good student. I used to perform well. But even during our holidays, our father could pay extra money for us to keep up with our academics, because he always wanted us to be on top. So I love you, Papa, for that. So there is a lot that we can learn from our parents. Yeah, that will be another video for another day. Another question says, did your father have any favorite quotes or sayings? He had, but not very many. But the favorite quote or saying that my father told us, that even all of my siblings talk about, is one: keep sleeping, enjoy sleeping, but there's going to come a time in your life when nobody has to wake you up, but you gotta do it yourself. That was really an educative one. So I remember I used to enjoy all my sleep in the morning. If you know me, you know I'm a morning sleeper. So my father could say, don't worry, time is going to come when nobody is going to wake you up, but you're going to do it by yourself. So that is one of my favorite quotes and saying from my father. It's the one that I can never forget. Okay, let's see. What was your father's proudest moment? I've been waiting to answer this question because most of my friends always ask. So I've got an opportunity to answer this. The proudest moment of my father was us being in school. Which is why, like I told you, we were never sent home for school fees. I don't remember myself being sent for school fees. So the proudest moment of my father was the day we were going back to school. This guy loved education like nothing. My father loved education. One of the happiest moments my father had before he died that same year was the graduation for my sister and my brother. I remember my sister had graduated with a diploma in nursing, and my brother, I think, had graduated with a bachelor's in developmental studies, if I'm not mistaken. My father was so happy, to the extent that whoever could come up to get a microphone to speak would say, this has always been Mr. Kasule's dreams. So the proudest moment of my father was us being in school, because he did everything for us to be in school. And even to make things even more interesting, he was involved. Yes, he was an old man. I'll be putting a picture of my father. He was an old man, but he was active in our education. So my father's proudest moments are or were us being in school or education. Okay, next. Did your father have any interesting or funny habits? I don't think so. If my siblings see this, they will help me with that. I don't remember because he was this though loving guy. He was always strict with his face. Like some of my friends always say, Irene, you're tough. I'm not tough. Just say I'm tough until you talk to me, but before you talk to me, don't say I'm tough. I'm not tough. So I don't think so. I don't remember of any habits that my father had. No, I don't remember. Yeah. Okay, let's go. How did your father handle challenges or setbacks? My father was the kind of person who everything was okay, you could know, and when everything wasn't okay, you could know. For example, in my case, I used to ask my father for a lot of things, by the way. Father, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this. I remember it came to a point where he got like a small box, let's say something like this, and he could put for me small coins for me to buy some of the things that I really wanted. Maybe I wanted like an ice cream, something, so he could put some coins for me. So there came time when probably, let's say it was empty. You could not be angry, because this is a guy who, if he had something, if he was able, he would always provide. And whenever he was unable to provide, you could understand. So he made us understand, which is why he taught us appreciation. You appreciate what you have, and when you don't have it at that moment, you will still know that it is yet to come. So that's how probably I think he handled setbacks or challenges, because as you know, our parents rarely talk to us. Yeah, for example, I was like, I was always the youngest in my family, so I could barely understand what was going on. So as far as I can remember, whenever I could say, in my case, Papa, I want this, and I could say, I'm not well off today, but give me time, I'll do it for you. So if someone has been doing something for you on time, whenever they could never had anything, you could say, okay, I understand, Papa. So that's how best I can answer that. Okay. What was your father's profession or career? Well, like I said, my father was an illiterate. So all my life, I saw my father driving cars for companies. Yes. First, growing up, I saw my father drive. My father was a driver for a stereo electronic company. He was a driver. Yeah, it was called Sembole. I remember the owner of that company died, a few years ago. Yeah, so he was a driver, and the next, he was also, years prior to his death, he was a driver for a school truck. So he was driving for one of the secondary schools. It was called Agri Memorial School, and that's where my elder brother Patrick went to school for his HSC, I guess. So my father was a driver. All right, let's see. Did your father have any special tradition or rituals? Rituals? No, none that I remember of. Traditions? My father loved celebrating. Yeah, my father really loved celebrating a lot. I remember I celebrated almost everything. Yes, in our cultures, people have just started in these years, like, to celebrate birthdays. But where we grew up from, celebrating birthdays was not a normal tradition. But all these other big days, Christmas, Easter, my father celebrated them all. My father celebrated us coming back from school. My father celebrated us going back to school after holidays. So, yeah, what else? Yeah, I remember my father loved celebrating New Year's. I remember they had this group of friends. They were people from married people from different families, so they could have these end of year big parties, a lot of them. So yes, my father loved that. Which is I don't remember. I don't remember very well. Okay. Did your father? Okay, no, I'm done with that. What were your father's dreams and aspirations? Well, my father's biggest dream was for us to study and graduate. There is nothing my father worked for more than us being in school. Yes, I repeat. If there is something my father dreamt of, there is something that my father really aspired for, apart from good health, education. And I thank God we made it. And each one of us is already aspiring or is already back in school. Yeah. So I remember one of my brothers studied in organizational industrial psychology. One studied, like I said earlier, developmental studies. My sister studied nursing. She studied anesthesia. I studied nursing, and I'm hoping to go back to school to keep that man's dreams alive. So that was my father's biggest dream, because he always admired education. He always loved people in school. So us being in school and studying and excelling, yes. And my other father's dream was for us to stay united. And we have made it. A big shout out to all our family members. Unity has always been my father's dream. No matter the differences with my father, of course, we had to stay united. So, yeah. Alright, we are almost coming to the end because we cannot exhaust this all. It's Father's Day. I'm talking about the best man in the world. Okay? I'm not so my daddy's girl, but yeah, I loved my father so very much. Alright, guys, let's see. Did your father have a favorite place or travel destination? Favorite place, like I told you, he used to hang out once in a while with some friends to have some beers and all that stuff. So there were two places. One was, he had these two friends of his with shops, so he liked hanging there with all of his friends. Like I said, that used to be once in a while, once in a month, once in 2 months. He could go there whenever he could ask, okay, Mama, where is Papa? Because by then the cell phones weren't so common, so you could know where he could be. So yeah, he used to have to be at those two friends' places. No, there were actually 3. I remember there were 3. He used to go there just to hang out with friends. Whenever you could look for him and couldn't find him and he's out of the house, those were the first 3 places. And the other place was our neighbor, one of his longest friends. Actually, may his soul also rest in peace. This family friend was also sick at the time my father was sick before his passing. Unfortunately, a week after my father died, this guy also died. So Mr. Sula, may your soul rest in peace. So those were some of the places where my father used to be, because he was a man of the people. Every once in a while he could call you, okay, go see if Mr. So-and-so and his family are fine. Go check on Mr. So-and-so if that he's fine with his family. So he was always the man of people. So my friends, if you see me over checking up on you, don't say I'm too much. That's what I grew up saying, checking up on people. Let's see. Travel destination. I don't think there was a favorite travel destination for my father. What I can remember is that whenever during certain holidays, my father could buy a lot of things. We could pack a lot of things and go visit our relatives that live very far away from the city, so we could go be there for like a week. We enjoy village life because we grew up in town, in the capital, so he always wanted us to have that experience for our relatives. So yeah. All right, let's see, we are almost there. This is the best, and I hope I can answer it very well. Well, how did your father show his love and support for you? One, my father listened to me. He listened to me. I remember most of the times I was sad, I was pissed. He could tell me, don't worry, I'm here. Whenever I could have like an argument with anyone, my mom, my sister, my whatever, I could run to him. All he could tell me, don't worry, I am here. And he was there. He made sure I didn't lack anything. He made sure I was brought up in love and respect with discipline. Which is why I said whenever I messed up, he never hesitated to punish me. So for me, my biggest support from my father was listening to me, understanding me. My father read my mind even when I never wanted to worry him, and I lied to him. Dad, I'm good, I'm okay, don't worry, things of a sort. He could say, what is the problem? You know, when someone is able to read your mind, sometimes it's like manipulation or something, but sometimes it's like it shows that someone really cares. Okay, because some of us, we rarely talk about what is in our minds. We rarely talk about our problems. So with my dad, he made sure he read my mind. So the biggest love my father gave me was emotional support. Actually, my father gave me too much emotional support that I cannot think of the other things that he did for me. He understood me. He read he gave me mental support. You know, being a baby, the last borns, we feel we are entitled to a lot of things. But the last borns watching, tell me, what were you entitled for in your home? So I got a lot of emotional support from my father, which is why as an adult, it is something that I'm struggling to handle by myself. Yeah, but in the recent 1 to 3 years, I've really managed to handle myself. But sometimes it's better if you have someone who can really understand you, someone who could understand your silence, someone who could understand your actions, your reactions. But yeah, that's it. Yeah. Okay, let's continue. This is a tough one, but I think I'm going to answer this last. It says, what do you miss most about your father? I'll answer that at the end of the video. Let's see. What were some of your father's favorite activities to do with you? Well, my father and I really loved sitting down, watch TV. He asks you this, he asks you that. In my culture, we weren't allowed to sit on the same couch like here with your parents, so I could sit down on the floor. But what I really loved about it is that we could take a lot of tea on a daily basis with my father. So my friends, if you see me taking a lot of tea, it is coming from somewhere. So he could, whenever he was, for example, having something to drink, a tea, he could say, okay, bring your cup, sit here. So from there you could have those conversations, and that was done almost every day. So that was one of the favorite things I really loved about my father. And also there was something that I really loved. You know, when I was learning to cook, it is my father who sent me to the kitchen. He said, you've eaten a lot of food, so you gotta go to the kitchen. I said, I don't know how to cook, I don't know how to do it. So I remember my father taught me how to peel, how to prepare matoke, his favorite food. He taught me a lot of those things. So at some point I started enjoying doing those things with him. Okay, I will have answered that. What values did your father instill in you? But I've talked about that. I've talked about treasuring friendship, loving, fearing God, loving family, putting family before anything. My father taught me never to give up. If you see this nature of not giving up, it's from both my parents. Actually, my mom too. She's a warrior. My father was a warrior. These guys never gave up. So I think that's all. Okay. How did your father celebrate special occasions or holidays? That's one of the things that I really do miss very much about my father, because I remember this is a man for every celebration. He could, like I said, he was a driver. He could bring a car full of stuff for all those big days. These days even included us breaking up for holidays and even ending holidays. So he could buy a lot of things. My father liked stocking everything that we needed in the house. So I love the fact that we were able to enjoy that. So for my friends who sometimes complain, but you like stocking, you buy a lot of things, I got that from somewhere. I'm not used to this system of buying one thing at a time. No. So that's it. Okay. Was there a specific piece of advice or wisdom your father often shared with you? There is a lot, but what I can remember is that he always told me that you're not going to be young forever. By then, being a child, being young, it could hurt, but he always used to tell me, you're not going to be young forever. So you have to try your best to actually learn a lot of things on your own, which is why my father was bitter because I remember I started doing house chores when I was in my form 3. That's when I really started doing house chores, because I remember my mom washed my clothes. I started really washing my clothes when I was in form 3, because when I went at school I could do my own washing, but when I went back home my mom did it. Shout out mama, I love you so much. Thank you mama, I love you. The next video I will do about my mom. So he told me that I wasn't going to be young forever. And the other thing my father taught me was to always take responsibility of my actions. And he made sure I really did take responsibility of everything I had done or I did. So, and yeah, I'm no longer young. Here I am in my own apartment. Nobody, but I just have to keep moving, whether I feel like it or not. I'm no longer young. Time is moving. Okay. What was your father's favorite way to relax or to relax? Like I said, my father really liked reading newspapers. He had his favorite radio and TV programs on a daily basis and on a weekly basis. I remember we had an uncle of mine. He was working at Central Broadcasting Service, that is CBS, for those watching from Uganda. This uncle, this type of ours, because in my culture we don't have uncle, aunt. So your father's brothers, you call them father. Your mother's sisters, you call them mother. So sometimes when we are doing these videos in English, sometimes they're really difficult, because there is no way we are not used to doing that. So my father really loved the program called Mambo Bado at CBS. For those Ugandans that may be watching, he really loved Mambo Bado, and he could say, "Did you hear that, Mr. Mayanja? That is your father." I was like, "Are you serious? You have a family member who is working at a radio station?" It's like, "Yes." So he also made me love Mambo Bado. It was like a political program. If I remember correctly, Yeah, and one of the things that my father really loved to do was farming. He loved farming because in my house, in our home, 95% of the things we ate were from the garden. We had a very big one. So my father loved farming. And it's something that I never liked. I cried whenever my dad could take me to the gardens to farm. But yeah, it was something that I really loved. And as I grew up, I appreciate why my father wanted us to go to the gardens to always make our own food. Okay, guys. How did your father show his love and support for others in his life? Like I said, my dad was selfless to the extent that even if someone had a problem and they called him in the middle of the night, he could get the car keys and run to their rescue. So my father was selfless, regardless of when, he could always show up. Okay, he showed a lot of emotional support. He showed a lot of financial support when he could. He showed a lot of support. So basically, there are very many ways that, so of course, some of them you may not recognize, but he really showed up. I remember we had family members who were struggling. He could say, "Come live with us." He had friends who were struggling. He could say, "Okay, let's go to the garden. Take this food to this family. Take this food to his family." So the fact that he really liked sharing with others was really important and was really good. So yeah, he really loved showing up in whatever he had, which is why I say that even with the least he had, my dad was always willing to give and help. The very, very last question. Of course, I said I was going to save this for the last. What do I miss most about my father? Oh my God. What do I miss most about my father? Well, there is a lot. But most importantly, I miss the emotional support. Yeah, because I don't think I've ever gotten that emotional support again since my father passed on. Because the moment my father passed on, there is a way I had to grow up. Okay? There is a way I had to grow up very fast. Yes, like I said, my dad died 2 weeks after my 18th birthday. So my birthday is on 28th November and my father died on 9th December. I think there are 2 weeks. So the moment I knew he was no longer there, I had to quicken up, to quicken my thinking, part of my growing. So I really miss that emotional support. I miss someone who can talk to you without judging you. I do miss the laughters. And I miss those small conversations we used to have. Like I told you, we used to have those small father-daughter talks that were really amazing. And there is a lot that I miss about him. Okay? I miss someone. Sometimes when we are not doing well, you just want someone to think for you for a minute. So I miss that. Now that I'm grown up, I no longer want to disturb or inconvenience my elder siblings by crying this. So you just have to keep a lot to yourself. That is one of the most hurting thing, and those are the advantages and perhaps the disadvantages of growing up, because at the end of the day, you gotta handle a lot all by yourself. You're not going to be young forever, but I really do think that God gives me the strength to handle all of this. Because sometimes, to the people who know me, whenever I'm so pissed, whenever I'm so stressed, the only person that comes to my mind is, apart from God, is my father. I'm like, I wish Dad was here. I wish Dad was here. I wish Dad was here, and all that stuff. So, I really think that that void may never be filled. It will never be filled. Yeah, it may never be filled. The very last question that some of you may be having is, what happened to your father and how did he die? That is something that I've never taken time to really talk about, but being Father's Day and I decided to make this talk, I would say, well, my dad died at the age of 82, 84 because he was born in 1928 or 29, around there. So he died in 2009 at the age of 84 or 82, around there. He died of prostate cancer. He died of cancer, and it was a tough one because my dad had struggled with cancer, I think, for like, I don't remember, but I think for like since 2000, is it 2007? So he had struggled with cancer for like 2-3 years. But as you've heard, his age, I think even his immune system had really weakened. So yeah, my dad died of prostate cancer. So the worst part is that I last had a good conversation with my father on 18th of November 2009 when I came back from school. We had a talk. He told me, how are you? Are you okay? Have you eaten? One of his last words in our conversation, he said, I want you to study. Yes, Dad, I'm going to study. Yeah, I'm going to study. I'm working on that. So basically, that's it. Yeah. So once again, guys, thank you so much for coming this far with me. Yeah, the video was long, but if you have any further questions about my dad, leave them below in the comment section. I will respond to them individually, or perhaps I will make another video answering your questions. Is there anything else you would like to know? If there is, please let me know in the comment section. Apart from that, thank you so much for watching. Once again, happy Father's Day to all the fathers in the world. Are you a single father? You will be wife, whatever, you're widow, whatever, for as long as you're father. We tend to forget our fathers, but I, for one, I say I had the best father. So happy Father's Day once again to all the fathers out there. You are loved. And to you, my loving dad, Mr. Kasule, I miss you so much, Dad. Yeah, I miss you. But yeah. So to some of my friends who didn't know, who were asking, Irene, why are you having this name Kasule on your Facebook? Are you married? And you did not invite it. Sorry to disappoint you. That is my father's name, and I will keep it there. Even if I wake up one day and get married, I will keep that name. So guys, until next time, be good and take care of each other. God bless you. See you next time.